Are you wondering what to say when your child is in a really intense tantrum? My name's Jodie Thornton, and today I'm going to talk about a few of the tips that people put out when they're talking about tantrums, why some of them actually aren't helping, and you might find that when you're following the recommended advice that your child is getting more upset, or it's definitely not helping them to calm down. So we're going to break down each of those and how we can really be responsive to what your child needs when they're really struggling with those intense tantrums. So the first thing is, are any words at all too much for your child? And so we find that some children, when they are in a really intense tantrum, they actually need zero talking. Now, there's lots of reasons why it might not be that, but that's one of the things that we can try is actually using either shorter sentences just to see if it's like auditory overwhelm. It's like I can't concentrate on what you're saying while I'm upset. Then sometimes shorter sentences can make a big difference. That can be hard for me because I am a very big talker. But what I'll do in that case is actually stop and think on the inside, what am I trying to say and what's the shortest number of words I can use to say that, and see if that helps. If it doesn't, you'll let it go. And so then what we can do is using your body language. And so really getting relaxed in your body, being as close to your child as they are comfortable with. So every child has a different kind of set point as to how much personal space they need when they're really overwhelmed. And then tantrum to tantrum, it can change. So we really want to notice like how close are they comfortable for you to be with them while they're overwhelmed. However close that is, be there. Really relaxing your body language and try to think through what you would say if it was okay to talk, because while you're concentrating on that, it stops you from slipping into your own baggage. It stops you from slipping into this is never going to be enough, or this is too much, or I'm powerless or trapped. There's all these kinds of places that our own minds can take us if we don't have something to concentrate on. And then also what that does is while you're concentrating on the supportive things that you would like to say if your child was open to hearing it, it actually comes through in your body language. And we notice this like these tiny little muscles in our faces that our children are actually learning to pick up, and they can pick them up from such a small age. So the more we're concentrating not on I need to be calm, or not on I just need to wait, or not on they're overwhelmed but eventually they'll calm down, right? If we're focused on what we really like to say is, oh, sweetie, this is so intense and you really wish you could calm down, or you want me to change my mind but I can't. Whatever's the supportive thing that you would like to be saying if your child was open to it, if you keep your attention on those words on the inside, that will come through in the tiny little body language aspects that we don't have any control over, but they happen based on what we're thinking about and focusing on. So that's our first thing, is if any words seem like too many, try shorter sentences and maybe just go straight to body language. The second thing to think about is a lot of people will say you need to be validating their emotions. And some people will say, well, when I validate my child's emotions, it gets worse. The tension gets more intense, or my child gets upset at me or screams at me to stop talking, all of these kinds of things. And I want us to really look at what do we mean when we say we're validating emotions. Because, and I'm looking cheeky because this is something that's really important in my view and isn't talked about a lot. When we use the tone of voice to validate our emotions, where we say, yes, it's so important to you to get the right colour cup. Do you hear the tone there? That one wasn't too bad, but do you see how the tone is actually like, well, it's important to you, but that's just because you're a child, or it's important to you, but it doesn't really matter, right? If we have any just tiny hint of a tone in our voices that says that, I accept that your feelings should be valid, but I don't actually see them as valid, that is upsetting to our child. It's extremely upsetting to our child, right? And especially when they're already overwhelmed. And so your tone of voice cannot be based in you're overreacting, your feelings do not match the situation that's going on here, you this is unnecessary, this is too much for me, all of these things. And I'm not saying that sometimes we don't have all of these thoughts. What I'm saying is that if you are speaking with that tone, you're not validating their emotions. And that's something that people they miss the nuance on, because a lot of the content, the gentle parenting content, the reason that they don't talk about this is because they actually believe that the feelings are irrational, or the feelings will pass, or the feelings don't match. Like, children just don't have feelings that match the situation. None of that is true. If you don't believe that your child's feelings are valid for the situation that they're in, you need to go deeper. You've missed what's really upsetting them if you don't think the feelings are valid, right? And so that's where, when we try to validate emotions, but actually what we're saying is, I don't want to tell you your feelings are wrong, but they are wrong, then you're not actually validating their emotions. So that's something that's really important to think about. The other thing that can go wrong with validating emotions is that we're not having any of those thoughts about your feelings are incorrect, or your feelings are over the top, or this is too much, or anything like that. But we have misunderstood what their actual feelings are. And this can be really common when we haven't yet done the real work to get clear on what emotions mean. And so that can be because we're not yet clear on our own emotions, or it can be that we're clear on our own, but we're not clear on how to make sense of other people's emotions. It can be really common that we look at how we would feel in this situation. We're not recognizing how our child feels in this situation. And those can be two very, very different perspectives. And so then we have really good intentions with validating their emotions, but what we're actually doing is just missing the point. We do not understand why they feel the way they feel. And when we say, oh, sweetie, I can so understand why it's so upsetting, the detail we give, they're like, that's not how I feel. And so a child who's in the middle of a tantrum can't say, Mom, you've missed the point. That's not how I feel. They can't say that. They will instead scream, stop talking. They will just yell. They might say nothing but keep tantruming. Like, they might lash out. Like, all of these things, because they're already in that overwhelmed state. And so they can't just rationally say, hey, you've not understood what I'm feeling. And so that's why a well-intentioned validation of feelings can make it more intense if you've just missed what's important to them. Now, the last thing that we often see with when we're trying to help a child calm down from a tantrum, and the words that we're using are making it worse, is we're trying to explain to them why they can't have the thing, or they can't do the thing, right? We're trying to explain to them what is the barrier between what they want and getting it. The difficulty with this is that what we're often saying is, this is why you cannot have what you want. Instead of saying, this is what's in the way of the solution you would prefer, but let's find another option that actually works in this situation. So if your child really wants the pink car, if we know why they want the pink cup, there's more than one solution. The pink cup is only one option, and if the pink cup is not available, then we can use one of the other solutions. But so often what we say is, oh, the pink cup is in the dishwasher and you really want it but you can't have it. That's lovely, except it doesn't solve the problem, right? We need to know what that problem is in order to see the multiple solutions, right? And if we don't define what the actual issue is with the pink cup, what we end up doing is either just telling them that you shouldn't be upset about not having a cup, it's not that big of a deal, because we're missing what is the underlying issue. Or two, we start offering random solutions. Like, what if we had your favorite plate? Or what if I let you sit at the table in a spot that you don't normally sit? Or what if I make you something special? Or like, so we're just looking for random options. Now, sometimes using that random option approach can work because your child's like, actually, yes, this option is just as good as the pink cup. Sometimes we can't find it's an extremely inefficient way to find an alternative solution if we're just throwing random ideas out rather than looking at what is actually the root cause here, and therefore what would be an alternative solution. But the other thing is, If your child believes that the pink cup is the solution, and you say we can't have the pink cup without looking at what is the deeper need, your child may not be able to make sense that another solution would work. Your child may not have a sense that the pink cup is about me feeling important, or the pink cup is about me liking the aesthetic of the way my place setting is set up, right? If your child doesn't recognize that there is a deeper reason, you could give them 12 solutions that would perfectly solve the problem, but they can't see it because they haven't connected the pink cup to being a deeper reason. It's just like, I need the pink cup. If I don't get the pink cup, things will not be okay, right? And so that's where, when we're explaining that they can't have something, we need to be looking at, yes, you will explain what is the reason that they can't have the thing that they're asking for, but we need to get into what is the deeper need, what are the alternative solutions, because otherwise what we're saying is your feelings are really important, but I'm not going to do anything about it. And it's not what we mean, right? And it's because we've been taught to experience feelings as something that will pass. And, sometimes our feelings are irrational. Like, we've been taught all of these things. So it's not what we mean, but it's what our child experiences, because they're like, yeah, you think my feelings are important, but what you're saying is, it's just too bad, right? Whereas when we look at what is the deeper need, what are the alternative solutions, what we're saying is, your needs are important. And sometimes the way you would like to get those needs met is not practical. We will find another way, right? That's the message that we want our children to have. And so if you would like my support to help you refine how you do empathy for your child, how you match what your child needs from you in the thick of their emotions, as well as being able to identify what the problems are before they get overwhelmed, so you can talk about it rather than having to regulate first and then talk about it, and then looking at getting really efficient at finding out what are those deeper needs and the practical, realistic ways to get your child's needs met within your current family circumstances. If you don't have the privilege of having two parents, or you don't have the privilege of having two parents on the same page, or you don't have the privilege to be able to financially afford the things that you think are valid for your child, but you can't afford to buy all the flexible options that your child would want, whatever circumstances you're in, we can find a way to get to your child's deeper needs and get those deeper needs met, regardless of the constraints we have at the practical level. So if you'd like my help to be able to do all of those things, come and join my online group course, Confident Connected Parenting. In this course, what we're going to be doing is looking at what are the skills that you need, as well as what are the skills your child needs, so that you can figure out those deeper needs and find solutions that work for everybody. But then when you're looking at the skills your child needs, we're actually looking at how do we get them to be able to do this independently? How do we get them to be able to understand their needs and articulate them to their friends, to their siblings, to their other parent, to their educators? How do we get them to actually be able to notice their feelings when they're a whisper, so that they can then talk to you about it rather than getting upset first? All of these are just skills. Everyone is capable of learning them. And so if you'd like my help to get that process working for you efficiently, come and join me. It's at jodithornton.com/confident connected parenting. And I'd love to have you come and really help you to get to a place where your child doesn't just know they're loved, that they feel loved. Like, this is something that's achievable, and we don't need to spend our child's entire childhood feeling like we know what gentle parenting should be, but we can't do it in practice. You can get it done. You can really learn these skills step by step. Within the time that you have, you can learn these skills and get to a place where you're really proud of your parenting and you're really confident that your child has the ability to be resilient, to be assertive, to be considerate, to avoid being a people pleaser. All of these things, we can do it together. So I hope that's been really helpful, and I look forward to joining you in the program.